one word that has, for many, turned their American dream into a nightmare. In our audience are over 250 people sharing how they or someone they love is desperate for financial relief. Living in a car is hard.
But it can happen to anyone.
I don't believe that the majority of people are suffering just because of inflation.
If self-righteousness was expensive, you'd be broke.
He's emotional.
He's emotional because you have intentionally insulted everybody up here.
When the new landlord took over, that was almost $1,400 a person, when we've been used to paying $630. The only way I think I could ever provide for my future was to make this change, to live in my car. My lease ends at the end of June, so I will be homeless full-time. The Honda Element that I live in now is 20 years old, and it has over 256,000 miles on it. I spend $20 a week on groceries, rice, beans, vegetables, eggs, oatmeal. That's pretty much what I eat. Showering's hard, especially if you are camping out in the woods. I absolutely think I'm risking my safety. The scariest encounter that I've had was when I was out camping. It was 3 a.m. and this guy just starts yelling right at my car.
Okay, so I'm being as real as I possibly can on here, because right now I'm having just like a mental breakdown.
The fact that inflation is growing rapidly, while people's wages are hardly growing. The American dream is for hardworking humans to be able to succeed, and hardworking people are not succeeding. Putting myself in this unsafe position right now will eventually be beneficial. My ultimate goal is to be able to get out of this financial spot because I want a future for myself. I don't want to do this. I didn't think I was gonna cry.
Well, Jay, you say there are days where you just get overwhelmed because living in a car is hard day after day after day.
It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Live in a car, try to survive and not feel like I'm a nuisance to anyone or anything.
How long have you been in your car now?
I started living in my car part-time from March until June. And then since July till now, I'm still in my car.
And what do you do for bathroom, shower? How does that work?
I use public bathrooms, gas stations, restaurants, all of that stuff. For gym, I can kind of kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I can use the bathroom, I can shower, and I can work out.
Where do you stay that you feel the most safe?
I camp. That's where I feel the most safe. I try to stay out of like city areas and more like campground areas. And then I just kind of use survival skills from camping just to go to the bathroom.
Okay. You don't like imposing on friends and family and that sort of thing?
No, everyone's going through this. I'm not the only person. So I feel like it's unfair for me to go to a family member's house or a friend's house who's also struggling. This is my journey, and I feel like I have to do it.
And you did have a place, and they jacked your rent. Take me through the moment that you crossed that threshold when you said, I just can't do that. I mean, what was the conversation you had with yourself?
How could I possibly manage to do that and pay $700 more when I'm already sinking so hard now? There was just no way. I didn't have another option.
How many times have you walked by, driven by, looked at, and seen homeless people and not seen homeless people? How do you feel being part of that population now?
I never thought that this would happen to me, but it can happen to anyone. You look at any human and it could happen to anyone at any point. I'm just here trying to survive. That's all I'm thinking about.
And how do you get out of this? How does this end?
The only way that it can end for my life right now is by me trying my hardest to do what I can, to either be able to feel like if I get a place to live, renting, that if I were to have another medical incident or my car were to break down, that I could afford that without sinking way back again.
And you got into financial trouble because of a medical emergency.
Yeah, a few.
And interestingly enough, people think young people get in trouble because they get a credit card and they go wild. The number one reason that people get into financial trouble is a medical crisis that they don't see coming. And now at this point, you probably feel like you can't afford to get a head cold. If you get a flat tire, you're gonna run on 3 tires. I mean, it's like there's no room at all for anything.
Yeah, it all happened because of medical things, car things, all of that stuff. And it was just overwashing me.
And how much do you work now?
Well, I work 40 hours. Now I just do a regular full-time job. For months, I worked 2 full-time jobs, working 80 hours a week just to try to make it work.
Yeah, but that's gonna break down.
I broke down. I was mentally drained, physically drained. I couldn't even feel like I could give any effort to people that I work for.
The rise in inflation has caused our insurance to go up to the point where a home that we could have afforded 2 or 3, 4 years ago, it's no longer in our bracket.
It's, your electricity, especially in the Texas heat. We're running the AC a lot. How do we cut back on that and not sweat to death?
Inflation has affected my life because I actually started dipping into my savings.
Groceries, man? Damn. Groceries are expensive. I used to only spend like $170 every 2 to 3 weeks. Now I'm pushing 400.
Well, my next guests, Morgan and Justin, are like many hardworking Americans who say their paychecks are just simply not enough to keep up with the inflated cost of living. Now, this young couple says despite working multiple jobs and foregoing necessities like health insurance and dental visits, they're still barely making ends meet.
We make almost $100,000 a year together, and we don't have anything to show for it. I'm at a point now where I have no option but to think about money. It drives me crazy.
He had to take the 401k out, and we lived off of that.
In the dead of winter, I was having to take 20, 30 bucks at a time in diesel fuel to put it in the house just to keep the house warm. And even then, we'd wake up seeing our breath.
We struggle with expenses, including daycares. Groceries are outrageous. I go to the store and I get 2 or 3 meals worth of food, and it's $200 or $300. Medical bills I can't afford. I don't go to the dentist anymore. I don't go to the doctor. I can't pay the co-pays.
I can't even look after my own health because I can't afford to. We both definitely look forward to the end of the day because going to sleep, it's like the only time that you can escape it.
He wakes up miserable. I wake up miserable. It's just nightmare every single day.
Well, Morgan, Justin, thank you guys for being here. You've been very transparent with us in sharing. You are not extravagant people.
No.
How do you explain this to yourselves?
I can't even believe it. Inflation has gotten so bad that we're doing everything the same. And I feel like all of a sudden we can't afford life. And it's what has changed? I don't know. And we just don't know how it's gonna get better.
Well, you have 3 jobs, and then you work a couple of side jobs.
Yep.
You work as well.
Yep.
And you have a 5-year-old. And you strip away what most people would call luxuries. I mean, eating out or going to do fun things. You're into survival mode.
Yeah.
Right.
What is your objective at this point?
It would be great just to have any kind of savings again, just to get to a point where if something were to happen, there's some type of safety net to fall back on. Because the fear of not having anything there and something happening is an everyday thought. Every second you're trying to find a way to make more money, spend more of your time towards a better job,
Right.
More jobs,
And
any
also-
passive way of income.
She was saying getting sick is the worst. You worry about getting sick. Any illness can just throw everything through a loop,
It's not an option.
And then when you have a child, it's one extra person to worry about,
Yeah. You look forward to going to bed because it's the only time you're not worrying about bills or how you're going to do it. Is that your escape?
It's the only time you could escape it for, a couple of hours and you're thrown right back into it.
Yeah, it sounds so depressing, right? But when you fall asleep, it's like nothing matters anymore. You're in dreamland. You don't have to worry about your bills. You don't have to worry about what's going to come tomorrow. What if your car breaks down, or what if you don't have groceries?
Yeah, and you guys say you're about 300 grand in debt.
Yeah.
And you think, well, how'd that happen? It's not hard when you think, well, we've got a modest mortgage on a house, student loans, then you've got the vehicle. There's things that are not extravagant. That's not a lot of debt for a family.
Right.
But how much harder is it than it was a year ago or 2 years ago?
Everything. Groceries, gas prices. Everything is just crazy. And I feel like no matter how hard we work, we add extra jobs to it. I try to clean people's houses on the side, anything I can do. And I just feel like it's getting harder and harder to just stay afloat.
Do you see this getting better?
No, I don't.
Do you guys see it getting better?
No, I mean, if anything, it's getting worse and worse.
Well, I hear them talk about inflation. They say, well, it's down to like 1%, or it's this or that. And everybody goes, oh, yeah. Well, no, what happened was things cost this much.
Right.
Then inflation went up, so things cost this much. And they go, oh, well, now it's flattened out. Oh, isn't that great? No, it's not, because everything went from here to here.
Right.
It just stopped going up, but it's up here
Still
now.
high. And we're not getting paid more, right? They're not saying, hey, things are expensive. We need to pay you more because of that. They're just like, sorry, we can't afford it either. So, we just keep making the same money and paying for things that are more expensive.
And even that, like working 3 jobs, you can work as hard as you possibly can and exhaust every possible thing that you have in your body and still not make the inflation.
Yeah. If you think it's getting better, raise your hand. If you think, no, we're just in it deep, raise your hand. Okay. Morgan says the most difficult part of their financial struggle is being a parent and looking her little boy in the eyes and telling him, no, she can't afford the treat, she can't afford the toy.
My son, he has a piggy bank. And he told me, next time we go to the store, can I bring my piggy bank so I can buy myself a snack? I hate that my son has to buy his own snack at the grocery store.
That shouldn't have to come out of a 5-year-old's mouth.
Morgan and Justin say the inflated cost of living has hit them hard as parents and left Morgan really feeling like a failure as a mother.
Yeah, every day I have to say, no, we can't, get that snack at the store. And, you go to get gas and your son wants a snack at the grocery store. And you're like, I only have $15 left of gas until we get home and Daddy can give me more gas money or whatever. It's just sad that I don't spend as much time with him. I feel like I'm spending every waking second working, and then I get 2 hours at the end of the day to watch a movie with him or read a book or give him a shower or a tub, and then it's bedtime. And I just feel like it's just getting worse, and I'm losing time with my child and my family. It's really hard, and I feel like he deserves more. And not being able to afford to go to that specialist or afford to go to play therapy or be able to do things that he really actually needs to function as a kid in school, it's hard. There's plenty of other mothers out there that are like, oh yeah, let's just go to therapy, not a big deal. It's just like, what did I do wrong, I got a degree, I got a job, I work full time, I have multiple jobs, and where's that money going, right? It's going to groceries, bills. I get paid on Friday, and by the time Friday ends, all my money's gone, and he's giving me gas money to get to work for next week. Like, it's really hard.
Does this affect your self-esteem?
Yeah, absolutely. As a parent, you want to be able to do the things that your kid wants to do for fun, because, that's what being a kid's about. And it's a constant effort, and
Nothing to show for it.
No, and to try to explain that to somebody who's 5 years old, he doesn't understand. I don't want to get to a point where he believes that I don't want to spend time with him, because that's, that couldn't be further from the truth. I work so hard for him. But
And he
it'll
doesn't-
be a long time until he understands that.
Right.
What do you say to yourself as a father? Do you think you're failing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like somehow you're failing?
Oh yeah, I would love to be able to be a mom and do all those things, but I'm failing in my life right now, and I don't know if there's much of a purpose other than to work now, and that's it.